Hi, my name is David Swizaczeski, 3D Specialist for Media and Entertainment. In this presentation, we'll be looking at 3D Studio Max 2016 and some of the new features. So let's get started. Okay, so one of the first things I want to talk about is the fact that in 2016, we've gotten rid of Max Design. So, well, actually, let me rephrase that. We've combined 3D Studio Max and 3D Studio Max Design. So we now have basically one version of Max, and this is great for so many reasons, and we're going to go into that in a little bit. Max is really sort of used across many platforms in many different industries, and the slide I've got here kind of illustrates that a little bit, talking about up the very top there you can see AAA games. Down the bottom of the circle we've got 3D printing. And Max in a lot of ways fits into every aspect of this. Obviously games, it's been in there for a long time. Architecture, it's been in there as well. Film and TV as well. And we had a bit of an issue, I guess you could say, with Max Design and 3D Studio Max, kind of blurring the lines of what they did and where they sat. So we've kind of gotten rid of that and put them together. So when you first open up Max, you get the choice of opening it up in the classic Max. If you're used to just using Max, 3D Studio Max normally, you get that choice of opening it up and it won't look any different. However, if you want to also, or if you are familiar with using it as Max Design, you can also select that option, click on that, and you'll be presented with a user interface and a workflow that you're more familiar with. So what I'm sort of saying here is basically you've still got the two options if you want to. If you still want to use Design, you can still use Design. Okay, so let's dive into some of these new features, and then I'm going to go in and I'm actually going to demo a few of these features. Now, I've put this up intentionally. Normally I don't like to put up so many points in one PowerPoint or one slide here, but I've done this specifically because I just wanted to show how many new features and improvements are actually in 2016, and there are a ton. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get a chance to go through all of these in this presentation, but I'm going to get a chance to go through a few of the, I think, key ones and a few of the really cool ones and show you how they work a little bit better. Before we go on, I'd just like to say a very big thank you to Ivory Tower, Unite Image, and Ubisoft for allowing me to use all this content that I'm going to be using today. The content that you'll be seeing, that I'll be using in this demo, comes from the game The Crew. And finally, I want to say a very, very big thank you to Gary Davies and Alex Hoist. They helped put this stuff together and have been unbelievable. So thanks, guys. So before we go on, I just want to say that the small annoying things, user feedback, if you have been having issues with things not working, or you want improvements, or you've just got ideas of things that can work, go to the small annoying things, user feedback, and put stuff in. The clone tool here, some of the improvements that have been made on that have come from actual user feedback from last year. So it's a full, what happens is a voting system. People put in requests, they get peer reviewed basically, or peer voted on, and the ones that float to the top get sent to product managers and get worked on or fixed if need be. So if you do have some things that are bothering you, please go and connect with the developer, the product managers through small annoying things. So the Max Creation Graph, honestly, if this was the only new feature in 2016, I'd be saying that this is probably one of the strongest Maxes in a long time. This is definitely a massive feature that we've introduced into 2016. If I can summarize what it does, it's essentially a node-based non-destructive workflow. And I'm going to go in and show you how to create some compounds later on in this presentation. Again, like I was saying earlier, 3D Studio Max community is huge. And I've got this slide up here just so you can see how big the Max community is. If you have a look there, 3D Studio Max is 580,000. The Autodesk Media Entertainment, this is on Facebook, community is 421,000. So the reason I brought this up, I just want to show you how huge the Max community is. There is a massive community. If you've got problems, if you've got issues, if you've got questions about questions about stuff, there is a vast community out there that you can tap into. So please don't feel like you're out there by yourself. So the Max community, down below, just have a look at that URL there. That's where you can send your feedback to Autodesk about Max. Yeah, I think that's enough about the community stuff. Getting back to new features. So some of the new features, or actually I shouldn't say new features, Xrefing's been in Max for a long time, but there's been a lot of work that's gone into enhancements in Xref, and you see them in 2016. Again, continuing with more pipeline tools, we've got the Alembic, also open subdiv, and I'll actually be going into showing you. I've actually got some demo stuff that I'm going to show you about using the Alembic file format and open subdiv in Max today. And the UI has had a bit of a facelift as well, which has been much needed in my opinion. Just fix things up a little bit and made it a little bit more ergonomically designed. And the template system is a great way of setting up your workspace. And what's great about this is you can save out your workspaces, and I'm going to go in and show this to you guys, show the workflow in a little bit. Duel Quantonium Skinning. I'm very excited about this. We've had this in Maya for a while. Now to have this in Max is fantastic. Delta Mush as well, we've got this. And these are just really great tools that help skinning for characters. And again, I'm going to go in a little bit and show you the Duel Quantonium Skinning and how to set up a Delta Mesh for your characters. Now this is one of the things that's great with Max and Max Design being merged together. One of the really strong things that Max Design had was cloud rendering. Now that Max and Max Design are together, we've got cloud rendering as an option for when we want to render stuff in Max. The other thing that's great is a camera sequencer. So basically we can now do essentially like a non-linear edit in our timeline using the camera sequencer. Physical based cameras. So these are cameras that have exactly the same properties as a real world camera, and that just gives you so much flexibility. So we'll be going into that a little bit as well. Now I won't be demoing this. It's a little bit hard to do that, I guess on a video like this. But what we've also got is multi-touch for Max and screen resolutions. So you can open up Max on a touch screen now, and you can open up Max on a touch screen that's 4K, 2K, HD, whatever it might be. And what's great is the UI will actually scale up for all the way up to like a 4K image or scale down to a HD image, and it won't compress your UI. Anyone that's experienced the scaling up and scaling down between different resolutions will know what I'm talking about. So it'll do a proper, now what we've got is proper support for higher resolution monitors. Some more architectural visualizing design features that are in Max now that were in Max Design. This is a great tool, the light analysis. So this allows you to basically do light analysis of rooms, of locations, all that sort of stuff, which is really powerful. There's some more we've had Populate for I think the last 2 years, but we've got a few more features inside the Populate tool set. Just more tools that are geared towards visualization, architecture. But I'm going to show you in a little bit how you can use some of these tools in ways that they weren't necessarily thought that could be used. Shader effects. Now, I've talked quite a bit about this in previous videos and presentations. It's fantastic, and we've got direct connection now with Stingray. We're just going from strength to strength with this, so I'm quite excited to see where we're going to be going in the next couple of months. We've got support for Mentoray, always had that, and iray. So I basically just wanted to say that out of the box, you've got two very powerful rendering engines that you have at your disposal. This is something that's new, which is a creative market. So what's cool about this is you can actually go to the creative market and you can buy and sell assets. So if you're making, say, characters and you want to sell them, you can actually set up a store essentially to sell those characters. With the Max Creation Graph, if you're creating Max Creation Graph compounds, you can actually wrap them up and put them up on the creative market and sell them on for other people to use. So this is quite exciting, I think. And we have full integration with Shotgun with Python scripting. I'm not going to be going into this too much, but Shotgun is a very, very powerful file management versioning control tool. Something to really think about, if you're doing pretty much, I would say almost any scale production. It is a very, very powerful tool. Just finally, some of the things that we're going to be talking about today and just touching on. Before we go much further, I'm going to play the trailer video to the crew. A lot of the content from today actually has come from this video. All right, so I'm going to press play on this video and see you at the end of it. Okay, so I've got Max opened up here. And the first thing I want to do is go into the template system and show you how you can build out your own template. So if I just go up and go to welcome screen. So because I've got Max already open, I need to go to the welcome screen. But when you first open Max up, you will be presented with basically this template option here. So you can see I've got a few templates already here. And I'm just going to go into Template Manager and show you basically how you can build these up. So you can go in, you can set these up like so, saving out the files here, and you can set images for the thumbnails here, your workspace. And what's great about this is you can basically export these out. So this template that we've got here, engine block, which I'm just going to open now. This is designed to be like a kind of like a turntable template. So, when you've just finished your model and you want to do a turntable, of that model, this template is for that. So let's just say I'm a TD and I want to have a consistent turntable look for all our models. Then I can save out this template and give it to all the guys, so we only use one system for every turntable. You can see here it's brought everything in that I set up for this. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just go into animation, go parameter collector, and I just want to show you that everything in here has been captured. So if we just go to and have a look at this, let's just rotate my light. You can, if you have a look in that corner there, the light's sort of rotating like so. There we go. Be less heavy-handed with that. You can see that's moving like so. We can change the color of that. You can see I'm changing the color of that. And we can go in and we can also change the overall exposure of the camera that's in there as well. You can see I'm just doing that as well. Okay, so that's a parameter collector. So as you saw in the video, a lot of those cars, well, all those cars are cars that you can get today. And what made this really, or made the process a lot quicker, was the ability to actually pull in CAD files. So I'm just going to import a file here, and I've actually got a CAD STP file of a Ford engine. This was not ever designed to be brought into Max and animated and done all that sort of stuff, but now we can actually do that. So I'm going to bring that in and just show you how simple that is. So I just select the file here, bring it in, and let me just bring up my state set that has that in here. And there you go, I've got that in there. So this is actually straight from CAD. So let's just move into a perspective viewport to make this a little bit easier to see. Let's go shaded up here. Let's just make that full size so we can have a look at that a little bit better. You can see there it is. Whoop. If I want to drop some textures on this, it's a pretty simple process. I can just go up here and go open recursively, and that basically allows me to open up every. Sorry, let me just take a step back. So there's a lot of individual bits of geometry in this group. So I've just opened that up. You can see here as I scroll over, we've got this new selection highlight that basically highlights the outside of whatever bit of geometry you're moving your mouse over. So you can see I'm just moving it over. This makes it really easy to sort of, especially when you've got a complex mesh like this, you can see as I'm moving over, I've got a very clear indication of what I am moving the mouse over. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is texture this fella. So I'm just going to select, everything. And then I'm just going to apply a UV to everything that's been selected there. Everything here has now had a UV attached to it. It takes a few seconds. And I'm just going to make that box and then just make that fit. Okay, so I've applied a UV to basically every bit of geometry that's sitting inside this engine block here. Now I'm just going to apply textures to it. Just going up to Material Editor, and what I wanted to draw your attention to is the Autodesk Material Library. So there are tons and tons and tons of pre-made materials that you can use. So if we have a look down here, we can have a look at let's have a look. Brass. Let's have a look at brass polish. So basically, these just come standard. You can just drop them on to any bit of geometry, and they'll work with mental ray or iray. Go into here. Let's have a look at, what was that one? Chrome polished. And I can then just start dropping them onto my geometry as I like. So I've already done that. And let's just jump over to the next state set that's got that all ready to go. So you can see here I've put all the textures on this as I wanted, and I've also parented the group of the engine block to that rotating dummy which is in the center. So as I move my time slider, you can see the engine block rotates around. So I'm just going to quickly hit the render button. You can see that this render has been set up with iray. So pretty much I've got this ready to go, and we're rendering out with iray. Now I'm not going to bore you and wait for this to finish its rendering. Waiting for watching renders render is kind of like watching paint dry or grass grow. So I'll just cancel that now. But it gives you an idea. This is iray rendering out, doing its thing. Now what I'm going to do is jump across to my next date set and just show that nothing's really changed. All I've done is I've just changed out the render output. Haven't even changed the textures, haven't done anything. And if I hit render again, you can see that this time I've now set it up to render in mental ray. And it's rendering in mental ray. In a sec it'll start catching up. There we go. So we're now doing a mental ray render. Now give it a few more seconds. I may speed up the video a little bit here just so you can see it rendering something more than just a grey background. Alright, there you go. That's the final render. So I had to speed that up and pause it. Took a little bit longer than I was expecting. But yeah, that's the final render in mental ray. Okay, so moving along. So we've got this car, again, one of the assets from the crew video that you saw. And first thing we're going to look at is just a little hint at the max creation graph. I'm just going to show you how powerful this is and some of the tools that you can do with it. What we've got here is the tires, and what I've got is basically a mesh chooser slider. So as I move this slider along, you can see that the tires change. So this was built using the MCG, and this can be very powerful for, imagine you've got a character that has say levels of damage or different types of armor, or as you see this car has different types of tires, or people want to customize their characters. You can use this as a tool to allow you to do that. Okay, and finally I just want to go in, let's just go into perspective, make it a little bit easier to move around. Yep, there we go. And then I just want to go select this guy here and just go into crease sets and open subdiv. Now, so with the open subdiv, I can set that up so it can be GPU or CPU driven, and you can see I've got the crease sets set up as so. So if I just go into open subdiv, turn that on, basically what I'm doing here is I've just set the adaptive I've set the subdivision to adaptive, which basically means you get more resolution in the mesh, I guess you could say, as you zoom into that mesh, and less as you zoom out. So let's get out of, let's go to wireframe, and this should show this a little bit better. Okay, so let me just zoom in here, and you'll see as I zoom into this mesh, you can see how I'm getting more, I guess you could say, resolution in that mesh. As I zoom out, I'm getting less resolution. So that's just a quick example of showing open subdiv in action. You can see as I turn that on and off, you can see how that just smooths it out a little bit more, rounds it around the corners as well. Okay, moving right along, let's delve into the max creation graph. So I just had to pause the video. As you can see, this is one of the files from the crew, and it's quite a big scene, so it took a few minutes to open up. So I just had to pause the video while this file opened up. But Let's dive into max creation graph. Let's make a clone modifier for this. Let's just go into perspective view. Let's just zoom in on that selected thing there. Okay, so I'm going to make a clone modifier for this, and I'm going to make it in the max creation graph. So let's just open up the graph. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is bring in a modifier and an output. So let's just press X to bring in a modifier, and let's go a try mesh modifier. And for an output, let's just try output modifier. There we go, output modifier. And we also need a clone and transform mesh modifier as well. So let's bring that one in, which is clone and transform mesh. There we go. So let's just connect these guys up, and you can see that they're color coded. And as this guy's going to create an array of meshes, we need to combine those. So let's find a combine. Combine all meshes. Looks like a good choice. Yep, that works. And that works. Alright, so we're just going to get parameters from this guy here. There we go, and that is basically my count, clone count, I guess you could say. Let's call that clone count. So let's just move these here. So, alright, now, like I was saying, we're making a clone tool, so we need to be able to do multiples along the transform. So let's pull that out, and let's go multiply, there we go. I'm getting a little bit unruly here, but keep going. So from the X, got to go with a like a translation. Again, because we're moving it along a translation when we're cloning. Translation matrix. Let's put that guy in there. Alright, so let's go out from position. Three, and let's go get parameters. Alright, so this is basically going to give me the distance in a positive and negative that I can move in the translation when I'm cloning this. So let's go negative 10, 1, 2, 3,000. Let's go positive 1,000. So negative 10,000, positive 1,000, and again negative 1,000 and positive 1,000. Okay. So that's our translation sorted. Now we just need to be able to do rotation. So that is our Y any. I'll drag out from there. And we need like a yaw, pitch, roll sort of a control. And I can't remember what it's called. I think it's, oh, there you go, yaw, pitch and roll. Matrix yaw, pitch and roll. And then again, let's grab those parameters as well. just move that all down, and let's make that negative 1000, positive 1000. And positive 1000. So let's just save this out. Save as. I've already got one here. Let's just save over that one. Dave's clone tool. Do you want to replace it? Yep. Okay, and then let's do an evaluation of this. Evaluate. Okay, cool. Yep, it's telling me that it's all good to go. Alright. So let's just close that. Oh, actually, I'm just going to move this off screen just so we can see this. And then I'm just going to go into my modifier. Make sure that's selected. Yep, I'm going to go into my modifier stack. And if we have a look here, we should find, there we go, Dave's clone tools. You can see these are some of the other tests I've been doing. That's the one we just made. And count, well, the reason it's disappeared is because our count's sitting at 0. So if I go to 1, you can see it's there. Let's go 10. If I move along the X, there you go. Let's make that 0. Let's move along the Y. There you go. And then we've got our yaw, so it can rotate like so. Make that 0. Pitch. And roll. And roll. Alright, so it's a little bit heavy-handed here, so I'm just going to add another controller in here just to smooth things out a little bit. But actually, before I do that, let me just increase the size of the MCG so it's got a little bit more room to look at what we're doing. So we've got all our rotational controls down here. So if I want to make this just a little bit more easier for me to navigate, what I can do is I can actually excuse me, I can actually create a group node. So you can see I've just created that group node with these guys, and now that means instead of having to select each individual compound, I can grab this group, and I'll just rename that. We'll zoom in so you can see that, and we'll call that rotation group. Alright, now let's just move this out a bit. We'll grab this, and this guy, and this guy. I'll move these across here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little controller in here. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. 2 radius. And if I hold down Shift, I make copies. And if I hold down Control and move it over one of the lines, you see how that line becomes dotted? That now adds it to that. So I'm just going to hold down Shift and Control, put that fella in there, and then let's just move these up, make it a little bit easier to see. And hold down, oh no, I only want that one selected. Hold that down there. Okay, let's save that again. Yep. Let's do another evaluation of that. Make sure I haven't broken it somehow. Nope, all good. So now, if we have a look at this, see now it's a lot smoother. So we've got that yaw working a lot better. So basically what that's doing is it's giving it a percentage sort of offset. So it's just making it a lot nicer. then let's just have a look at the roll. It's got that nice percentage offset. So just making it a little bit less heavy-handed. So you can see this is great for building out sort of like motion graphics, stuff like that. It's really, really handy for that. Okay, now we're going to have a look at another use for the max creation tool. Sorry, max creation graph, but in fixing geometry that's come in from like a data scan or something like that that needs to get fixed up a little bit and ready for animation. Okay, just got to find that guy. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Okay, so this was basically brought in, and this is quite a common problem when you get scanned data that comes in from like 3D scans and stuff like that. When they come in, have a look at this. If I go to element level, basically they just come in with individual sort of, basically every vertex is separate, or every face is separate. So you have to kind of go through a process of welding each individual vertex together, which is quite tedious. So I'm just going to build a very quick tool in the max creation graph that basically does this for us. So let's just get out of, let's go to top level here. Let's open up the max creation graph. Okay, so again, we've got to bring in our input and output. So I just bring in, first let's bring in the input, which is modify mesh. There we go, and our output, X to bring that up, output. Alright, now we want to weld basically all those guys together, so let's see if we can find weld. Oh, there you go, weld mesh. Brilliant. So we just want to plug that fella into there, and that fella into, no, that fella into there. And so I just right clicked on the weld mesh here because I just want to, let's call that, let's make it easy to find, weld threshold. That should, yeah, look, you can play around with that. So the min and max value, you can play around with that, but let's just leave that as default. So let's go save as, let's call it Dave's weld tool. Let's just save that. Okay, that's saved, and then let's just do an evaluation. Make sure we're all good. Yep, we're all good. Okay, so let's clear out of that, and then let's find Dave's weld tool. Okay, now let's see what that's done. Let's just add a edit poly to that so we can have a look at that. If I just go into elements, there you go. So you can see I've welded a whole bunch of that together, and as I change my threshold here, it'll obviously weld more of that mesh together. So that's a great way. You saw how quick that was for me to build. It's a great way of just fixing up models as they come in that have a lot of issues with them. This is honestly just touching the tip of the iceberg of what you can do with the max creation graph. Alright, let's move along and open up our next file. So this will take a few minutes. I may just pause the video just briefly while this opens up. Oh no, it's opened up pretty quickly. Fantastic. Okay, so this was the first thing I wanted to show you. This is a common problem with pretty much any file, and honestly this is something that over the years I've spent many hours dealing with, and this is missing external files. So you can see here we've got a couple of files that are missing. We've got this button here now to basically, if I just hit that remove all, then this scene no longer calls on those files, which means I can render out and do all that sort of stuff if I want to. So I'm just going to go continue to that. And I'm just going to bring this up again, just in reference, just asset tracking. And you can see here, we've got these missing files here. So if I just go like so, select all the missing files, and just go up here to paths, remove missing assets, you can see now that this scene no longer has these missing assets to worry about. So I can render this out and do whatever I need to and not worry about that. Those that have experienced this, you'll know that the pain that happens, especially when you're doing like a network render and there's one missing texture somewhere and you can't find it for love of money, you just can't find it, but it'll stop all your renders from happening. So this is a great way of just finding that file very quickly and getting rid of it and continuing your rendering. Okay, let's move on. So we've got this scene here. What we've got is basically a car that's coming through. He's hitting this water here, which this water's actually been done in Maya using Bifrost. And this car here is an Alembic file. So we've actually got, this is all the water sim has been done in Maya and saved out as an Alembic file. And the car animation as well is an Alembic file as well. You can see that it's quite hefty, this file. It's quite slow. So I can speed that up quite quickly and easily by just selecting the Alembic file. So which one do I have there? I've got car Alembic. And then just hitting performance mode. And if you have a look down on the time slider, this taskbar is going along. And basically what this taskbar is doing is it's caching out that animation. So it's allowing it to be a lot quicker because it's caching it to the GPU. It looks like it's finished. And let me just choose the water as well and do the same thing to the water. Okay, I think that's done. And we should be able to, yep, there we go. Okay, great. So if I just play that through, there we go. So what's good about this is you can see that when I was scrubbing through before, it was really hard to see what was happening. And now we're getting roughly around, we're getting roughly real-time playback with this. The first thing that I can see is that the car and the water are not actually lined up. So the water animation of the car going through it is actually happening a little bit too soon. I couldn't really tell that before when I was scrubbing through because I was just getting such slow playback. So it was pretty much impossible to tell what was going on with that. So this is one of the great things with this performance mode is it allows us to have really heavy files and cache them out and basically play them back at real time. Let's just pause that. Let's just go to the car here and I'll turn off that. I'll turn off performance mode. I'm going to go into the mesh here and I'm actually going to just change when it starts. So right now it's starting at 0. Let's just make that -12 and let me recache that. Let's play through that now. And there you go. You can see that now the car and the water are interacting a lot better. So that splash is happening when those tires are actually hitting the water. So that's a great way of just seeing that this performance mode, the value of it, like you get real-time playback, which is incredibly handy. So taking it the next step, we can actually edit the time or edit the motion, I guess you could say, or the speed of the motion that's happening with this. So if I go into this guy here, no, I want the water. I don't want the water. I want the car. I'm going to select the car here, and then I'm going to change my playback time to playback graph. And let's just go back to 0, and I'm going to put key there. And then I'll just auto key that. There we go. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is just go to about, I'm going to make that 115. So it comes in, there he is there. Alright. And then let's just make that linear. This guy linear as well. And then at this point here, I'm just going to drop a key in. I'm going to drop a key here as well. I'm just going to move this down to here. Actually, I'll make those two linear as well. And notice now, when this comes through, let's put that over here. Well, we're going backwards. So, yeah, you can see that. But anyway, going backwards, yeah, why not? There we go. But as you can see, like, what I've got here is almost like a bullet time thing, or it's just like it gets held up, like stuck. And then shoomp, straight through. So let's go back to performance mode. It's a little bit rough around the edges, this one. So don't worry about the water too much. In fact, let me just hide that so it's not distracting. There you go. It's really crazy. But what I'm wanting to show here is that we can edit the time of our Alembic files after they've been saved out. So the animation, you know, I've got nothing else here other than a timeline. I've got no bones, and nothing else. I'm just actually editing the frames and the timing of those frames. So finally, let's just go back to here. Well, I just want to select the camera, and then I just want to show that. Oh, actually, let's get out of performance mode. And finally, I just want to, and let's just have a look at, so I've got the camera selected, and then we've got in viewport motion blur. So I've got motion blur selected here, I've enabled it in the viewport, and let's just do a quick preview. There we go. Alright, moving on, we're going to have a look at physical based cameras and the camera sequencer. I'm just going to pause the video because this next file is the big New York scene from the crew video, and it does take a while to open up, so I'm just going to pause this for a sec. Okay, let's have a look at physical based cameras. So one of the great things with physical based cameras is basically they have all the same settings, or all the settings that a real camera has. For instance, you've got f-stop. We can put in things in the viewport like depth of field here. We'll see this kick in a few seconds. There we go, it's starting to kick in. We can go through all of this here and change every single thing here. It's just there are so many options. Lens distortion. You can let's try. So you can see here I've got like a concave lens. Let's try that. Let's see what that does. You can set the luminance, the daytime, it just everything you would expect. The f-stop here, all of that stuff. So it's quite handy. I'm not going to go into all the details because, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff here. But I highly recommend just playing with it and seeing what you can, what you can do with it. Really, it's a lot of fun. All right, so we've got this pretty much one of the final scenes here where the cars face off against each other. They come in. Now let's actually have a look at the camera sequencer. Alright, so you can see here as I scrub through with the camera sequencer, down here we've got basically the timeline. So it's essentially I've built out like a non-linear timeline. So we've got the first scene here, and then we cut down to this one here. It's quite a big scene, so it's struggling a little bit. Let's see if I can play this through. If it's any better. No. So we've got all the scenes, all the shots that you saw. Now it's quite easy to go in and just edit this up. So I can grab this here and I can drag that along, and you can see now if I do that, that this opening sequence that should have ended at frame 34 now continues on. And we can do that with all these guys, basically. We can change that out. So that's just very quickly a look at the camera sequencer and what you can do with it. You can move that in like so. Basically, you can just go in and cut this up as much as you want. You can change where these fit. So I can really just re-edit this whole clip and make it my own. And I just got a quick side-by-side comparison I wanted to show you guys. So this is just opening it up in RV, so I just drag and drop these guys in there. RV ships with shotgun. As you can see, this was one of the files, one of the shots I was just working with, just showing you the physical base camera. Alright, let's move along to our next scene. Again, I'm just going to pause this while I open up the next scene. Finally, let's have a look at Duel Quantonium Skinning and delta mush and a few other little bits and pieces before we finish up. So, just going to move this guy along. I'm going to move him to about here. Let's just go to perspective. Let's just zoom in on that. Okay, so this has been quickly rigged using biped, and you can see there's no twist bones or anything here, and we're getting this pinching happening in the mesh here. Now this is quite a common issue that you get if you don't have like twist bones or any corrective blend shapes or anything like that. So if we go into the skinning, you can see here I've got Duel Quantonium basically turned off. And quite simply, I can go in and I can just turn that on. You can see what it does. It fixes up that issue, and it also, if we just toggle that on and off, you can see how it also keeps the volume of that mesh as well, which is one of the really important aspects of it. Just going to go into the envelopes here, and I'm just very quickly just going to blend the just show you how you can blend the weights here. So I've got these guys here, and then I'm just going to go down and just going to paint these weights a little bit. So you can see as I go in, that actually changes that a little bit. So what you want to do with the Duel Quantonium is basically go to all the problem areas like the wrists, the elbows, all of that sort of stuff, and just paint in the Duel Quantonium skinning just on those problem areas like I just did there, and that should fix a lot of those issues that you've got. Okay, now let's just have a quick look at delta mush, and then we're going to move on. Okay, so I'm just going to select this guy here, and as I move him down here, you can see we've got some really poor skinning that's going on here. So that can be fixed with delta mush. Now I've already gone through and cached out the delta mush on this, so I'm just going to basically turn that on. For some reason that's not loading. Just to reload that up. Oh, there we go. Okay, so if I just go back up to, actually I'll just go here and I'll just turn that on and off. So you can see how much that delta mush is fixing. Very, very, very powerful tool. It's just, I wish I had this years ago. Alright, finally I just want to show some of our procedural textures and how they're fully integrated with Stingray now. So just bring up, again, this will just take a few minutes. I may just have to pause this again while it loads up. Alright, we've got this guy. There should be some animation on there. Oh, animation on his gun, but not on his body. Let's just load that up. Not that we really need the animation for this example, but it's just good to have it. Okay, so if I've got this guy selected, let me just go into perspective viewport. There we go. I want to bring up the material editor, and we're in the slate view here, and you can see I've got two materials, one PBR for his body and one for his gun. So if I just go into his body, and I'm just going to double click to bring up all the parameters of that PBR, you can see here I can basically just go in and let's have a look. I can turn off the color map, and what this does is it sort of, allows me to really see the roughness map that's on this guy. You can see it getting some really nice details in here, but I've got full control over this. So here I've got an emissive texture and where is that? Emissive intensity here is at 10, and you can see if I knock that down to 0, it goes away, and I can actually dial that in as I want, and I'll bring that back up to 10. We've got basically everything here we can change. Roughness, our metallic levels, everything here. Also with color blend, let me just put the color back on. And you can see here with the color blending, we can just go through and we can change. So you can see here it's set up, ready to go for Stingray. So yeah, where's that color blend? There we go. We can keep going with that. Change it whatever colors we want. Alright, that pretty much wraps this presentation up. I have a small video that I want to show you guys just quickly, showing a few more examples of what the max creation graph can do. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, my contact details will be at the end of this video. Please feel free to contact me with further questions. Cheers.